All right, I see the light. Too soon? So you are of
real
course.
wow.
So you're listening to the War Report, brought to you by tagmeadate.com. I'm so caught up in the Rich Swan theme here. Of course, it wouldn't be. Of course, we have to follow it up with Big Boss Man. You know, apparently, Rich Swan went down to Cobb County, Georgia, and you know they don't take kindly to that kind of stuff.
Hard times.
There was a video somebody put together. They videotaped. They created. They took Swan and they changed his entrance in the 2K game to Goldberg. So, he's surrounded by the police and he's in a jumpsuit like
nails.
Nails. It was hilarious.
Jeez.
I mean, the situation is
right. Yeah.
shit,
No.
but...
Let's be clear here. The idea that he did whatever he did is not funny. The idea that somebody took the video game character and did that, very funny.
He will be getting wished the best in his future endeavors very shortly.
I think so. If you notice, I don't know on YouTube, I'm not sure if our little thing down here, the indicators with all the talking heads, because I can see like me and then Steve and Eric and Amanda, and I can see everybody's little squares. I don't know if they see that on the bottom when we're talking, but in case, okay, so if you can see that there's an extra one here. We do have a guest this week, gentleman I have known for a very, very long time. He's been in the wrestling business since before I got in the wrestling business, and there's a darn good chance that if you're working a wrestling show in this particular area, he's on it. I don't want to say veteran because that implies he's old. He's definitely not. He is the immortal, for real. Nobody knows how old he is, and he won't tell us. He is a Highlander. Dan the Man, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
Now, are you here? We're doing wonderful. Now, are you here to talk about the LAW show that's coming up in Harlem? Is that what we're here for? Or?
I have 2 events this weekend.
Excellent. What do we got?
On Friday, I head to Allendale, New Jersey for ECPW Christmas Chaos.
Nice.
Yes, and then Saturday, I head to Spanish Harlem for Legendary Action Wrestling.
Cool.
That should be quite interesting.
Now, at either of these, for people who may not be aware, during the holiday season, Dan gets very into the holiday. He has a version of himself that he likes to call Dante Claus.
Yes.
Will he be making an appearance?
Dante Claus has been on a roll this month of December. Handing out gifts to children.
So hold on, did The Rock steal that from you then? Because The Rock is now calling himself Dwanta Claus.
He had to have. That's gimmick infringement.
Well, I guess so. I've been Dante Claus for years.
Right? He's been Dante every holiday. Now, the
somebody
gifts
get
that
on
you
the
give
phone
out.
with LegalZoom.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'll get a lawyer for you. The gifts you give out, are they or are they not usually just empty video game boxes?
1 year, I gave out the first appearance of Dante Claus. I gave out coal.
Gift wrap coal.
That's great.
The following year, I gave out bars of soap, a washcloth with very mean things on the washcloth about, you suck, you're this or that. Then the year after that, children got upset. I gave out an Xbox One box with a boot in it, a PS4.
Fucking hilarious.
This year I gave out a paper towel roll with a bow on it. The little candy containers with a broken spoon. I mean, and they just love it.
Yes.
That is so fucking hilarious.
Oh man. All right, so we'll check in with the rest of the group right now just to get everybody in and say hello. We got the Big Cheese, the man in charge of tagmeadate.com. Big Steve, how you doing, Steve?
We're doing great. Can't
Excellent.
complain. Excited for tonight. I do want to just mention Barrio Rikers, Big Heck, unfortunately was not able to join us this evening along with Dan Demand. So we're going to be able to focus all the attention on Dan, which is great. Big Heck, as you know, very busy as of late. He will be back on. I know we did have a question come through that was directed specifically for Big Heck, and we will save it and address it with him. We're going to try and get him on next week if the schedule permits. But but excited to have Dan the Man, especially since he doesn't do many appearances. So very excited to have you, man.
Yeah, a rare podcast guest. It's nice. Because he's you're a real pro, you know. And I'll check in with everybody. I'll go down the line in a second. Dan, like I said, I think he was. I don't know if he was on my first show, but Dan's been on about 90% of the wrestling shows I've worked, and it's not that like we ride together. It's just that you're prolific. And one of the things I want to know is how do you manage all of this? Because you do a lot of wrestling. You book yourself. I think it's between you and Bobby Ocean as the two busiest guys on the. So how do you manage like real life and kids and all that with the schedule that you run?
Well, it's much easier now. I have teenagers, so it's like, hey, listen. It works two ways. There, as you know, I normally on Facebook you always see the Shazam kids. So, pretty much helping out, doing merchandise, trying to make some money on the, selling stuff, or they decide to stay home. It's the same old for them. It's like, look, we know what's going to happen. You're a bad guy. They're going to boo you, and that's about it. And sometimes they want to make money and they'll say, don't say certain things because, my character is, very chauvinistic.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Pancakes and babies and stuff like that. And they'll be like, no, don't say that. So, it's manageable. I get on the road. I do what I got to do. And like I said, sometimes they enjoy going on the road because it's like, hey, look, we do the show. We're going to go somewhere to go eat. And then we just laugh and drive and play music and go all the way home. And then do it all again the next day.
That's awesome. Wow. That's great that they're all involved. Any of them have any interest in becoming a wrestler?
No. They've seen all the stuff I go through, so they're like, nah, we don't want to do that. They do like amateur wrestling, yeah, because I help coach them. But other than that, they see the stuff that goes on, and they're trying to do they want to do other things. So I'm the only one that decided to do this and continue to keep doing it.
And you've been doing it. How long have you been doing this now?
Since I started in '99.
Wow.
I started in '99, and then I had a trying to get yourself situated, and then from 2000 on, I just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Any place I can find work, I would just work.
Yeah, and I noticed that about you. You're not afraid to take a drive or take a little bit of a trip to get to a show. Some people might have their territory that they work in, but I see you like to go. You'll go anywhere in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania and all over the place.
I take the drive. It's just because you try to when you go to the place, they remember you. So it was like, that's what I try to do. But more than likely now, it's pretty much been New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts.
Nice.
So
carve out a nice little part of New England for yourself. And you're known. The other thing is people know when they go to a wrestling show, they'll know the Team Shazam thing. They'll know Cheer for Me. I love that. Cheer for
Me. It's so great.
How did you? And I know it's a sarcastic cheer for me that they boo you afterward. That's how wrestling works. But was it a fan that initially yelled it? Did you come up with that yourself? How did you start with the cheer for me?
I'm always trying to come up with a different idea, and it originated. I did a show at UWD in Agawam.
Oh wow!
And I was teaming.
You are going back.
Yes, I'm going back, and I was teaming up with Bobby Ocean versus Mr. Williams, and I forgot the other guy's name. I apologize, but I turned on Bobby Ocean.
Right.
And on, I started the whole cheer for me and ran with it. Made T-shirts, which sold out, and just kept going with it. And I still do it to this day. So.
Yeah, and that building, the UWD, the Springfield Terms Arena, I think that's even been demolished now. I don't even think that building's around.
Yeah, I don't know what it is now. There was a church.
Yeah, I think they've converted it into something else. It used to be it was a nice little venue. It fit a couple hundred people. There was a bar, and they put on. It was fun shows. Those were like, the mid 2000s was just a fun time. It wasn't like under a microscope like indie wrestling is right now. Everybody kind of had their own little, bubble to play in. Like what's his name? Mike Lynch, one of the Wild Boys. He'd have the balls battle royal where they'd throw they'd get the ball pit balls and they'd charge the fans like $1 for 3 balls. And then during the battle royal, you got to throw the balls at the wrestlers. And people were bumping, so when they got hit, they would take a big bump, and that was that era. I remember specifically in that building there was a balls battle royal. So that idea I think is free to steal now. It's been long enough.
Yeah, and then I remember EWA had took over. Yeah. Like once UWD shut down, EWA took over, and that's when the whole Team Shazam finally started doing their thing out that way.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I love the whole Team Shazam. I love the whole thing about it. I think you guys all work great together, even from just the one show I saw, because you guys all came out a bunch of times, which was great. How did you come up with we're going to be known as Team Shazam? Like, how did that whole thing come together?
That one started, my partner, Andy Bivens, and we were known as Hot Chocolate. We were wrestling up at OTW out in Jersey. So I was getting booked a lot more in Connecticut and Massachusetts. So Andy was still out there. So I came back. You know me, Vince. I'm big into like Comic-Con and cosplay and all that and video games. So I saw I was at GameStop and I saw the trailer for the DC Universe game, and a big bulb just lit up. So I hit Andy. I was like, yo, we're not Hot Chocolate no more. I don't care what the promoters say. What? I said, we're going to go as Team Shazam. We're going to just see how this goes. So I just kept yelling Shazam every time I hit a move. And he ran with it too. And we changed our gear and we just did that. And then he did his thing at other promotions. And then I was by myself. So I just kept recruiting. Anybody that teamed up with me became Team Shazam. And it just started to just go like, yo, you're Team Shazam now. We're not, no, I want to be this tag team. Nah, Team Shazam. And we just kept going with it.
And that's a couple members. I can't remember. There was one guy a couple of years ago. He was he was either Latino or light skinned. And I can't remember his name, but he was a pretty good worker in Team Shazam. And then you have the King of Class, Andy Bivens. You got Mr. All Day, Kenny Bengal. At one point or another, you were up with Vlad, our buddy Vicious V. Who are some of the other line now? Right now, you've got a good group right now because you mentioned Mr. Williams earlier, and now Mr. Williams has a first name. Thank goodness, it's been 15 years. He got a first name, Marcel.
I know it's now Showtime. Marcel Williams. It's Andy Bivens, who is me. He and I are the originators of it because now he's the King of Class. Then there's Williams. There's Kenny Bengal, Mr. All Day. There's Corey Dillinger. There's Barrio Rikers. And then there's my executive consultant. I'm going to say Talia, before she gets mad because she's probably going to hear this later. Talia Luthor, along with her brother, TK Luthor. I just recruited them. And then there was Tristan Law. Her. And then pretty much whoever else teams up with me becomes Team Shazam.
Excellent. You're handing out You should get like little membership cards for everybody. A little light.
We try. We make it like we're like the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, yo, look, we're this group, but everybody do their own thing, and then when we get together, we're Team Shazam.
That's perfect. That's a good analogy for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So aside from Dan and Steve, we've got a couple our usuals here, Amanda and Eric. But guess what? These two guys, both of them, and I'll give them each equal time to talk about them, have some writing done and published. Eric's got his E-Rock Wrestling page, E-Rock Wrestling. There's an E dash in there, e-rockwrestling.blogspot. And then, so I'll let him kind of talk about what he's been writing, because he wrote an interesting one earlier today. And he's always, he writes interesting blogs when he does them, but today's was particularly kind of a relevant topic. So go ahead, Eric.
Yeah. Today's was just something I've been thinking about. I actually didn't post it yet. I'm going to post it shortly. Something that's been bothering me, people that claim that The Rock is not, black enough to be considered the first black WWE champion. It's kind of annoying to me. They talk about, he's half black, half Samoan. That's fine and all, but why, does he have to be full black? It's just a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah, like the concept of not black enough. That's a weird, thing to wrap my head around.
What's not black enough?
Well, think about it, they never like with Ron Simmons, they go WCW. The first African American WCW champion is Ron Simmons, and they end it there because it's that's the case. Now you bring in The Rock, they don't really bring it. Why don't they bring it up as much, man? I'm with Eric. Any what do you?
And I'm talking about that say this stupid shit.
Yeah, but even the WWE doesn't really hype up as much. No, like you're talking about in the chat.
It promotes his Samoan heritage a lot more because a lot of his family members are around.
Yeah.
About his dad, Rocky Johnson, that much.
I know. Dan, you're any insight on this?
Yeah, I always wondered that too. Like, you know me, I'm all in this, not black power movement, but I'm always like, well, how come the brother don't get his moment?
Yes,
type of thing, But yeah, I've always noticed that too. But they don't talk about they talk about Ron Simmons, but no one talks about like Iceman King Parson.
Yeah,
WCCW. No one talks about that guy. And
he was
a big
great.
fan of that guy. Yeah, he was great. And he was a first black heavyweight champion for WCCW. He beat Kerry Von Erich. I'm showing my age right now, but I'm just saying, And then they recognize Booker T. But, I don't know why they do it with The Rock. The Rock is black, Right. Yeah, he's got Samoan in him, but at the end of the day, he's still black.
Yeah, that's like we were talking in the chat. It's like Derek Jeter isn't really considered black either, which is weird because his dad's a black guy. But people don't perceive Derek Jeter as being black.
The fact that we even have to still have this conversation in this day and age,
it's kind of hard. It's really horrible. It's really horrible.
It's mind-blowing.
I tell people all the time. If I have of regular milk and I pour chocolate, is it still regular milk or is it now chocolate milk? I mean, it's still dark. What is it? You know what? Let me just let it go.
I like where you were going with that one. We were gonna have like a viral clip on our hands. Dan the man shoots hard on race relations and wrestling. Oh, but it is, it's a relevant topic because Dan. I'm glad Eric brought it up earlier because really, as Dan said, he is big, and I always appreciated this. Is not that it's not a black power thing like he said. He is very much for the advancement and storylines and relevant things for people of color in wrestling. It's, I said this a lot on the podcast years ago, but me and Cedric Alexander used to joke that he was in the top 10 black wrestlers in the world because they only booked 10 black wrestlers anyway. So it was that was your top 10. There was just those 10 guys.
Oh yeah, I always make a comment about that. Like, wow, I'm the only brother on the show. I know there's more out there.
Yeah,
and my main thing about that is we're doing a show. For example, you do a show, and the show's in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where it's dominantly mostly African American boys and girls, but the poster has no one that looks like them.
Wow.
Like, let's be fair here. That's all I'm saying. Like, you can throw 80 million Latinos and 80 million white guys or white women on there, but you don't put African American males or females on a poster especially in those areas, you know.
Mhm.
Just give them, like, you know, like give everybody a chance. Put some diversity on the poster, or just make it diverse in general.
Makes
Mhm.
absolutely no
Yeah,
fucking
and-
sense to me at all.
And I
None.
liked Frankie Flo, because we brought him on a couple months ago. Hector was nice enough to get him on with us. He speaks a lot about how he books black wrestlers, Latino wrestlers more, and it's you know, it's part to do with where he's running the shows, and he's smart to do that marketing wise, but he's also, it's a conscious choice by him to recognize that there's a gap in the market where it's really, when you look at the main event guys, they're mostly white guys, and I think there's definitely room for not just black main eventers, but just in general, you're right, more diversity within wrestling. And you guys better get this on tape, because it might be the last time you ever hear me say something like that. No, I'm totally kidding. But it's funny just that you're right. There's just a lack of, we need a little cream in the coffee, or a coffee in the cream, whichever way to balance it out. What do you think, you know, promoters or bookers can do? Is it, you know, it's not just the booking
It depends on the promoter. Like, I've heard, been battling Bobby Ocean for years. Now,
Right.
in the New England area, they want him to kill me, and the people eat it up. And there's others that go, nobody wants to see two black guys wrestle. And in my eyes, I go, I don't see two black guys. I see
Mhm.
versus a good
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Despite what our color is, Bobby Ocean's the good guy, Dan the Man's the bad guy. And none of them fans care. All they want to see is the good guy beat the bad guy up,
Mhm.
no matter what color they are. And that's how it should be. You know?
And I agree, because they're back in the early wrestling days. I mean, to talk about guys that don't get enough credit. Oh geez, and now his name escapes me. Thump. God, why can't I think of it? Ernie, not big. Well, big. Yeah, Junkyard Dog and Big Cat, Ernie Ladd. Those two guys don't get. Bobo Brazil.
Bobo Brazil.
They don't mention. And I know Bobo Brazil's going back 60 years now, but like, those guys were pioneers and innovators. And you know, you don't see a team like, and I know Doom was silly with the masks on, but you don't really see Doom. You don't see, if it's two black guys together, it's like the Street Profits, and they're kind of a
That's Crime Time Part 2, basically.
right, exactly. It's
Oh,
another role.
I don't
Oh
like
my
those. I try my best to stay away from those stereotype gimmicks where you got to be some type of thug or a criminal or or a pimp. I don't, no.
And that's why I like the Team Shazam thing.
I despise those.
Oh, I know, and just as a viewer, not even as a, you know, I'm obviously not black. I'm a very white guy, but you see it happen, and you go, oh look, it's been another 6 or 7 years, and Vince goes, I need a tag team, two black guys, go, and it's just like, you know, they put them together, and like you said, the Street Profits, or they're hustling people like Crime Time would do, and I think the only guy that ever got a fair shake was Booker.
And Mark Henry in his later years.
Yeah, you know what? Mark Henry, because Mark Henry wasn't very good in his, he got so good those last couple years. Character-wise, wrestling, he figured it all out, and he had like a sweet spot there. But speaking of, we should say a positive and a shout out to my friend, and I'm sure a couple of others. You know, Dan's probably definitely worked with him before. Steve's probably worked with him before. Cedric Alexander, #1 contender to the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yes.
Very nice.
I love Cedric, and
He's so awesome.
He's
Great
just
guy.
good guy, good worker, and when I see something like that, I know that wrestling, you know, the future of wrestling is in good hands, because you got him, Mustafa Ali. Those cruiserweight guys are putting in work, and they're young guys, so they're going to be around for a while. Now, let's. Oh, so I mentioned Eric's article. Amanda, can you tell us, because you're on DDT Digest? Is that what it's called?
No,
No,
Daily
you know it's called
DDT.
Daily DDT. It's some. I knew it had DDT in there somewhere. So what is the title of your article for this week?
This was the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn show, and it's just basically how, since just before Hell in a Cell, they basically Kevin Owens took over SmackDown, and it's all been about him ever since.
And this is another one in your series where you fought. First one that I really was aware of was the Braun Strowman one, where you fawned over Braun. We can use the rhyming scheme there.
I always fawn over Braun.
But yeah, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn did kind of take over the show, and I don't think it's to the detriment of the show. I think
No, it's definitely for the better.
Definitely, yeah. But now I'm gonna ask Dan, tie this all in here. As an indie guy, do you spend a lot of time watching the current product? Do you spend a lot of time watching older tapes? Do you watch stuff for yourself? Like, what is your process when it comes to watching wrestling?
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh, I think we lost him.
We lost him.
Damn it. Okay, and I had such a good question.
That was a great question. Well, I'm sure I'll come back on.
We'll get him back. We'll get him back.
Yeah, we'll get him back.
But yes, Amanda, so tell us a little bit about excuse me, I had to cough there and cut out my mic so you guys didn't hear that. Could you fill us in a little bit about the gist of the article? You know, give us a little, flesh it out. As Dan comes back, we'll flesh it out.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we got you now. Yeah, we got you.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what the hell just happened there.
No problem. With this
It happened.
chat thing, it happens. So, man, we'll get to you in a second. Dan, the question I had before we cut off was, what's your process for watching wrestling? Do you follow the current product? Do you watch old stuff? Do you watch independent stuff? What do you do?
I watch pretty much anything I can get a chance to watch. Like, I'll watch WWE. Like, I don't watch it on Monday night. Like, I watch it on YouTube.
Right.
So I watch Raw. I watch SmackDown. I'll watch Ring of Honor. And then for homework, I just watch all the old stuff on YouTube. Like, I'll watch promos. I'll watch, all the classics. Anything from the NWA.
Nice.
Pretty much all NWA. So I like great finishes. So and I watched a couple of I started watching New Japan. I just don't know all their names, but I think it's great to watch. I like watching that.
Yeah, that's a different, when you need just a different style to tune into. New Japan is great. Those guys, God, some of them go 1,000 miles an hour, and looks like they hit hard. I don't know if it's one of those things where it just looks hard, or if they really just kind of stiff each other a little bit. I feel like it's real snug. Like they're laying in it a little bit to make it look good. But they work.
It probably is.
I love the way.
But it's very entertaining, though. It's very. I started because, like I said, I don't know any of their names because they're all Japanese, and But I'm just like, wow, this is something different for me to watch. So I watch it more like homework. Like, I just study, like, how are these guys so great? So I just watch, no matter who it is. I may hate on that person, but I'm like, even on an indie scene, I'm like, what makes this guy so hot right now? So I just watch.
That's great, though. You can always study, always learn, and
yeah.
So I have a question. Since you've been around and been doing it for quite a while now, you've had the privilege of wrestling with some of the big names, that have been in the business. Who would be your top guy that was a name that you wrestled and what you took from them throughout the process?
Jerry Lawler.
That's a common answer, actually.
Yeah.
I learned so much wrestling Jerry Lawler. It was amazing. Freaking amazing.
That's
because I'm an old school guy, so it was just like I didn't have to talk. I didn't do anything. We just went out there and we just go. But I just learned so much, and I was just like, after I left, it was like, man, let me jot this down. I normally don't write anything down, so let me jot this down. I did this, and this. I'm running with this for every other show now, and it was great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Jerry Lawler, that's a good one.
Yeah, he's.
I have to give a shout out to Mike Lombardi on that one because for AEW because that was good.
and he works such a good. It's a good match for somebody like if you've never worked him before. It's not a hard match to get into because he kind of works a similar match. You know, like first of all, Hacksaw wrestles the exact same match. Sorry to break everybody's illusion here. Hacksaw wrestles the same match everywhere you go to the point where I could run it with him. He likes to brag. He takes 3 bumps during the match and then he hits his comeback. It's an amazing thing to watch because the guy is still, 50 something, 60 years old, and he's running this one match. And he takes 3 bumps, hits his comeback, hits the 3-point stance, and everybody goes crazy. He can, the old school guys like Hacksaw, and then Jerry. I saw Jerry work a match on YouTube a couple weeks ago. He was wrestling Tim Storm, funny enough, but they got in a knuckle lock, like the test of strength, and this was in, I want to say it was either Memphis or somewhere in Alabama. And they got the crowd so into the test of strength, they both just put their hands up and they'd let the crowd simmer on it. And the crowd would come up, 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 and then they'd put their hands down. Then they'd try it again, and the crowd would come up, up, up. And as soon as they actually locked hands and started the test of strength, it was like Hogan slamming Andre. They just went bullshit.
That's awesome.
It's an old school thing.
There's a thing, though, because, like I said, even though I named Jerry Lawler, Billy Gunn, Kamala, and who else? Shane Douglas and Demolition. When I wrestled, I didn't wrestle. Yeah, I did something with those guys too, like early in the year when I first started out. But
how was it with Demolition?
It was great. It was great. Like they would just and I go up to them like, is there anything I need to work on to get better? And, and they'll give me some points. Like Billy Gunn, I sat with Billy Gunn for like 20 minutes, and he just bullet points all these things about me, and I run with it.
That's awesome.
And even if I didn't wrestle that guy from WWE or wherever he's from, I just pick their brain no matter what. I don't care how long. I'll sit there for hours and just talk to him. Just get that knowledge. You know what I mean?
So, and what is if a aspiring wrestler is out there listening, or somebody that might be interested in the business or their training, what's something that you took away, like something simple from one of these veterans, anything that you can give to a young guy, some kind of piece of advice?
Character. That's what they all praise me about. That I had character, like. Because a lot of guys now just want to go out there and just wrestle and do moves, but there's no character.
Right.
People need to leave the building remembering who you were. They need to go home. Yeah, that guy right there, not the guy who did the 450 or the diving all over the place. The character, so they can go home and leave, or they start imitating you.
Right. You got to have that personality.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
How many times have I just found myself like walking down the street or walking through the mall or something in my head going, cheer for me. Like it's in your head.
I mean, look at it. It's like perfect example right now is Matt Hardy.
Oh yeah. He's killing it
with the whole Woken shit. I mean, that's a perfect example. He came up with this character, and, people are at home trying to do his laugh and all that stupid shit. Which is just great, and I say that, in a good way, because I love the whole thing. But
it's realized, like with you, Dan, it's the same way. It's not like you said, well, I'm gonna be Team Shazam, so I'm gonna put the comic book logos on my trunks, and that's as far as I'm gonna go with it. I got the gear, so now that's me. Like you have like your own contained backstory and your own, there are things that Dan the Man would do. Much like, Matt Hardy has this kind of history of this, celestial passenger that's 1,000 years old or whatever. He's got an idea and a story in his head so that when he talks or cuts a promo, he knows what he would or wouldn't do in that situation. Whereas if you just kind of aren't fully invested in the gimmick, you're not going to have that deep of an experience to pull from. Like you wouldn't know what your character would do in that position. And maybe that's just an experience, as you go on thing. But You know, I like that you have an idea, like you said, you're the idea for Team Shazam is the Wu-Tang Clan. When you're solo, you're solo. When you're together, you know, you make that compilation album and you know, sell platinum or whatever. But it's a good. I love that Wu-Tang analogy, and I love that, you know, you've got your Dan the Man is in your head, like you know you know what you're going for, and you're right. Some guys don't necessarily have that going for them, but let's see here. Anyone else want to? I'm going to open the floor up. I've been talking an awful lot with Dan. Amanda's just been sitting there quietly absorbing all of this in her Shinsuke Nakamura shirt.
I am absorbing information, yes.
Well, that's good. I sent, because she was asking. She's Amanda's from Canada, so not within the area where you work, Dan. So
No.
we were trying to send her useful, like, YouTube links. Like, you shared a match yesterday, so I sent it through, so she could get like a better sense of.
Oh, the three-way I had?
Yeah,
the three-way match? Yeah, that was cool. That was LAW. That was from LAW, so.
Now that show that's coming up in Spanish Harlem, who are you facing?
I am facing a young man by the name of Steve Pena. Well, here's the story behind this whole deal is, I'm dealing with Steve Pena, but I also have a 6'5", 400+ pound man named Vince Steele who's coming after me as well. Won the Rumble, and he is the #1 contender. But I put a $25,000 bounty on him, and he's a little ticked off.
Yeah, that would
so
do it.
he's been, you know, he's been talking smack about me. I've been talking smack about him. You know, he's gonna literally F me up. I'm gonna we're just gonna jump him.
There you go.
You know,
and so do you have Barrio Rikers there as your backup? Because it seems like
I got every member of Team Shazam on hand for this monster. He calls I know I'm not taking away from Steve Pena because that's going to be a great match, but we all have to look out for, like I said, a 6'5", 400+ pound man charging me and trying to break me in half.
Very
so,
true.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You know, so
it'll
be quite an interesting night. You know, the rest of the other members of Team Shazam will defend the tag team title. We have all the belts, so they'll be defending the tag team titles of, you know, Mr. Williams and Andy Bivens. You know, and then there's other members on the show as well. So we don't know what they'll be doing, but they'll be there.
Nice. You're the prototype of Titus Brand worldwide. You're just spreading out amongst all the indie wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, the new thing now is that everybody is now Dan the Man. So it's like if you're looking for Dan the Man, they're gonna say I'm Dan the Man, which is kind of cool. I like it.
That's hilarious.
That's like the whole Negan thing. No, I am Negan.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. He's a big. If you follow Dan on Facebook or any of his social media, he is a very big fan of pop culture, Marvel comic books, all that kind of stuff in the film.
Yeah, comic books, all that stuff. DC, Marvel.
Nice.
You know, I'm more of a DC guy, but I still support Marvel.
Right.
You know.
Well, you can tell by the cosplay, because you'll actually go, like, he attends conventions with his kids and they'll cosplay, and it's most of the time it's a Marvel character, or not a Marvel character, DC character rather. I'd say
for a couple of years I was a Sith Lord for a couple of years, and then after that I just went with Green Arrow, and then I went Reverse Flash.
Reverse Flash, that's cool. I like the colors on the Reverse Flash. Like in Injustice 2, they have the Reverse Flash skin. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then what's the show after? So that was the LAW show. What's the next show, and who's your opponent there?
Oh, that's LAW's on the 16th of December, which is the Saturday. But this Friday, I head down to Allendale, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, for ECPW, where I'm also the ECPW heavyweight champion there too. So I'm a champion at ECPW, champion at LAW. But ECPW, ECPW, I'm wrestling another young gentleman by the name of Tony Rush, where big fan favorite. We wrestled last Friday in Wayne, New Jersey. You know, tore the roof down. So we're about to do it all over again in Allen. Now we're doing it in Allendale, New Jersey.
Nice.
Cool, cool.
Well,
Do you
actually, he's
ever?
wrestling. He's actually wrestling Dante Claus. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Do you ever cross the border into Canada and wrestle?
The thoughts of going down there, but with scheduling and everything, it's just been so hard. I was trying to do it this summer, but it
Yeah.
didn't work out for me.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
Amanda is trying to. Her ambition is because there aren't any of those conventions, the wrestling
Yes.
conventions in her area. She's going to try and find sponsors and such, and attempt to put on a wrestling convention somewhere near Toronto.
Yeah, preferably
Cool,
in
cool.
Toronto.
So she's
Cool.
on the lookout for that, which is good because that's another thing. Like you said, there's a market. You got to look for untapped markets, and if there's a space for it, then and there's demand. I think that's a great idea. Bringing that to Canada. Plus, it gives me an excuse to go to Canada. Why not?
Yeah,
Amen.
there you go.
I've never been to Canada, so it would be an experience.
Best place in the world.
Let's see here. Now, what else?
Well, listen, I
Yeah,
think
let's start-
you know,
yeah.
since Dan does keep
Yeah.
up somewhat with WWE. We've got about 15 minutes left.
Yes.
Maybe we should talk about Clash, and we can get Dan's thoughts on the pay-per-view also.
Oh yeah, well, because
Yeah.
WWE Clash of Champions.
Clash of Champions, right? That's Sunday, isn't it?
Yep.
that's this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And then it's the Royal Rumble.
Finally,
Time is flying.
I look forward to the Rumble every year, even though
Me too.
sometimes it's it falls flat. I would say most of the time you enjoy the Rumble match. That's why you tune in. It's such a
That's definitely
Awesome
one of my
thing.
favorites for sure.
Yeah.
And I've been to a bunch of WrestleManias, but I've never been to a Royal Rumble. I want to do. That's my next thing. Is I want to
You know
go
what?
to a Royal Rumble.
Mine's the same, and I don't know that I actually want to go to a Rumble live because
Why?
I feel like there's so much you'll miss.
Oh,
Like,
because
yeah.
commentary.
you-
Well, yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, because there's bodies usually flying around. I don't know. I mean,
But just
listen,
I would
if I
just go
was,
for those countdowns. Like
Well-
the 30 entrances. Oh.
that's true.
You get to count backwards from 10, 30
Yeah.
times. Wrestling fans are mostly excited when they get to count.
Mhm. It's true.
And if anybody ever goes to a corner, they're like, wait, is he going to punch him? What? Oh, well, if it's a chop, they're like, woo. But then they're like, wait, let's count. 1, 2. And even if the guy stops or it's the wrong, they'll just keep counting. Love it. So,
And then-
Clash of Champions. Was that it?
I was going to say Super Crazy had them counting in Spanish.
Yeah, I like when they count in the native language of the wrestler. I think we have to learn Bulgarian for Rusev. I don't know if they just use Russian or if they have their own language or what, if there's like something for that, the Central Europe, they have their own thing. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Clash of Champions, because today's Rusev Day. Happy Rusev Day, everybody.
Every day is Rusev Day.
Every day or something.
Yeah, he's
Feels like it.
every day is Rusev Day. So, but we've got 5 matches announced. So maybe they might announce some in another 15 minutes. They might throw something else on the card. But as of right now, you've got Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Shane McMahon is the special guest referee. If Owens and Zayn lose, they're going to be fired. There's a whole thing going on there with Daniel Bryan wanting to keep Sammy and Kevin because they're good performers and they're his friends and all that. And Shane kind of turning into a new Mr. McMahon, trying to stack the odds and screw him out of something. But
He even
He's
almost
the
said you're
baby.
fired.
right, he's slowly turning into his dad, but at the same time, he's like kind of the baby face right now, and they're the heels. But I feel like that might that pay-per-view might be where they
double
do the
turn.
old double turn. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know what the finish would be in that case. I guess it would be
Maybe Daniel Bryan comes out.
right, yeah, and hits somebody with the knee, and there we
Shane's
go.
always great as a heel, though, too. So I'm good
Yeah.
either way.
Yeah, I mean, Shane is always. I enjoy Shane's act. I've enjoyed it for years. Dan, what do you think? Randy Orton and Shinsuke against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with the deck stacked against them, and their jobs on the line.
I'm going with Owens and Zayn.
Yeah.
Smart money is on those
Yeah.
guys. We
Yeah.
do a pay-per-view pick 'em like internally for the radio show here, the podcast. I usually do pretty poorly, but maybe this month I'm going to turn it around. We do it every month as like a little spreadsheet, but also want to let everybody know about WrestleRumble.com, where you can do a pay-per-view pick 'em. Amanda is a part of WrestleRumble.com, and they have prizes every month. So when you enter, it's like what, $5, something like that. It's real cheap. It's not terribly expensive. $10. That's cheap as hell
for 1 entry, $20 for 3 entries, and $30 for 5 entries.
So let's say you really, really stink at picking things and being decisive. You spend the $30, you get the 5 picks, and then you can submit 5 different potential cards. And then you maximize your chance of winning. And what can they win this month, Amanda?
So this month is huge. The first prize, you get $500 cash. You get a crate from Wrestle Crate, and you also get the winged championship belt from WWE Shop.
For Clash of Champions?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what? All this for Clash of Champions? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
so far, with only 5 matches on the card, that also increases your chance of success because there are less, variables.
But there's always some random questions we like to throw in there.
Yes, you do like to throw those ones are neat. The little prop bet questions.
Yeah.
Holy Moses, that's a lot. So should we expect more of the same for the Royal Rumble?
I know we're working on a lot of big things for the Royal Rumble, so
excellent.
You guys will obviously be first to know.
Sweet. So yeah, tune in here for that. But WrestleRumble.com, again, they're big partners and friends of TagMeADate.com. So check them out if you're into that pay-per-view pick'em thing. The next match is for a fatal 4-way for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. We've got the Usos, the New Day, Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable, and Rusev and Aiden English.
I think Benjamin and Gable.
I'm going Usos.
There you go. Attention by the champs.
I would like the Usos to win, but I think it's going to be them.
I'm saying Usos.
Have you seen, there are videos online of Gable and Benjamin. They're cutting promos. Well, Shelton Benjamin will be cutting a promo, and then in the background, Chad Gable just keeps saying, "Why are they in the match?" Because they just keep adding new teams to the match. So his thing is Shelton will finish a line and just go, "Why are they in the match? But why are they in the match?" So it's entered to like I think they're being heels about it, but it's entertaining. I like it.
That's funny.
Potential retention. So the consensus so far is if you're trying to follow along with and play Tag Me a Date's numbers on Wrestle Rumble, you pick the Usos. Next match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, a lumberjack match, a women's lumberjack match. They don't call it lumberjills anymore.
I was just gonna say, wasn't it lumberjill? What the
it used to be.
Thank God.
And now, so we've got the champion Charlotte Flair against Natalya, and this not to be confused with the other 1,000 times these two have wrestled. Now it's a women's lumberjack match. What do we think?
Charlotte keeps the belt.
You gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Charlotte's not losing.
Charlotte keeps the belt.
Definitely not to Natty.
Yeah, speaking of, and to tie back into what we were talking about earlier with Dan saying have a character, what is Natty's character? Is she a cat? Is she a crazy cat lady? Is she Bret Hart's niece? Because that seems to, like, once a promo, she seems to bring it up. I'm not sure where she falls. She's just kind of.
I thought she was going for like a Catwoman, like.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I thought she was going for.
That's what I thought too.
I hope they, if they're gonna make Ember Moon a werewolf, yeah, she could have little claws. That would be a good. Now, if the women were gigging and getting color, which I don't think they'll let them do, she would have cat claws and give her a scratch and boom and gig, and then, oh man, see, that would put some heat on the feud. I mean, Natalya wrestling Charlotte is not necessarily a fresh thing. Let's switch it up. Yeah, but I think the smart money here is Charlotte retaining. Gotta be. Next one. They're throwing a lot of specialty matches our way for this pay-per-view. Triple threat match for the WWE United States Championship. Your current champion, Baron Corbin, taking on the glorious one, Bobby Roode, and Dolph Ziggler, who's just like down on his luck. Like you root for the guy because you want him to do well, and he's just never booked the way he should be.
No.
Who takes this one?
I see Baron.
He keeps it.
Yeah,
I feel like he's gonna pin.
I
was just gonna say he's pinning Ziggler.
And
I'm going with Bobby Roode, and I just want to say too, I think at this point with Ziggler, I almost don't want him to resign. Like I think he would do so well on the indie scene or Ring of Honor or Japan. He's a great. He's all around. To me, he's one of the best. I love everything about him, and they just I don't know what it is anymore. He got the label of being injury prone, and I don't know. It's a shame. I think he would do well outside of WWE.
Yeah, it would be an interesting turn to see him take a tour of the Indies, go to Japan. I would say not the Bullet Club, because obviously you've got the Young Bucks in there, and having another blonde guy with super kicks and shit just wouldn't work. But I think if he came in, he could be a good foil. Like he could join like, okay, you guys don't know this. He could join like Chaos, or he could join the Ingobernables de Japón. He could join one of the other factions within New Japan and then be like their American representative. And kind of, if he wanted to go that way, that could be another way that they could get American viewers. Because right now, if you haven't seen the video yet, you should. The two videos, rather. Chris Jericho came out at Fukuoka and attacked Kenny Omega, busted him open, painted his face with Kenny Omega's blood, and took a picture with the title. And then he posted an Instagram video, Jericho, where he still had the blood on his face. And then there was a point where Kenny Omega retaliated at a press conference, and there was some table flipping, and it was chaos. So they're bringing in American viewers to their January 4th show with Chris Jericho. I think they could probably do something like that with Dolph Ziggler, because you could put him in Dolph Ziggler and Cody Rhodes, two guys that people will know from U.S. wrestling. The Bullet Club people will know from U.S. wrestling, and they're trying to do another push. I think it's May. They're doing another New Japan show. So if Dolph Ziggler didn't re-sign, there's that New Japan show. There's Cody and the Young Bucks 10,000 seat show, wherever that may be. There's opportunity out there on the indies. That's actually a good question. What do you think, Dan, about this idea that Cody and the Young Bucks have? They want to self-promote a 10,000 seat arena for a show, and they want to sell it.
I strongly believe they're going to pull it off. I read something about that, and I was like, oh, I think they're going to pull it off. I mean, they got a strong fan base, so
huge fan base.
They're definitely going to do it.
And I think the show is going to happen. I hope it sells out, and just the fact that it's going to happen, as long as it does well. And I say, if it draws 3, 4, 5 to 10,000 people, I'd say it does well. They're going to keep doing it, and maybe they've teased that Daniel Bryan is looking to get out of his WWE contract, and when he does, they'll put him on that show. They've teased having Punk. If they do it in Chicago, they're talking about having Punk on the show. Of course, Punk is in his UFC contract right now, so they're kind of working people, but at the same time, they are friends with both of those guys, and if the opportunity came up, they could book either of them. 10,000, because Ring of Honor was either 3,700 or 4,300 in Orlando, and that was their highest selling show in the U.S. was right around that 4,000 mark. So the Bullet Club guys would have to draw from the Ring of Honor audience, and then maybe the local indie audience, and then the WWE fans by getting in somebody like Bryan or Punk, and kind of bridge that gap and get everybody in. It's definitely doable as long as it's the right venue, right city, and they got to know what to do promoting it. They have to have, and I'm sure they're financially stable and sound, and they make good investments, so they wouldn't try something like this. But they really just have to make sure they know what they're doing and have somebody behind the scenes that keeps it all in line and promotes it well. Because that's the other thing; it's got to have good promotion. People have to know about it in order to go.
That's true. That's definitely
because you see I see good shows, and sometimes it's like a week after it happened. I'm like, I would have gone to that show. I didn't know that shit happened. When did that happen? And It's like some indie show, and it's like, you look at pictures, it's like Zack Sabre was there. Who else was there? And you're like, just shit. All right, but so indies just in general, the ones that do the better social media marketing, those are the ones that get the better draws. I want to see more, be more aware of those shows. So if they promote a show like that, they got to really push the social media, and they've got. What do they get? Like 100,000 views on those YouTube videos. They get like crazy amount of views just for their little scripted Being the Elite show. So maybe they can tap into that market there.
Yeah.
Very interesting, the future of pro wrestling, because it seems like now, and Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm glad he's here to discuss this. If you want to make full-time money on the indies, this is about the best time as any to be able to do that and consider your full-time job pro wrestling.
That's true. That is true. It's like right now, even though people might not say it, it's really hot right now. And if you're playing your cards right, you could make this a full-time job and just keep wrestling. You can go back and forth from the States to leaving the States, go to Japan and come back. I know guys right now, they're doing like, what they're doing, Mexico, Japan. They're doing United Kingdom, There's work out there. There's promotions out there to work.
The one that I'm always looking at is that they do the 24 karat gold tournament, WXW, in Germany. They book like JT Dunn, they booked Dijak before he went to NXT. Somehow they find, and again, this is probably just from being on the internet and having wrestling fans, like internet wrestling fans, sending them suggestions. They book a bunch of indie guys from the US and fly them out to Germany, and they're working a German. That would blow my mind to say, you're working in some PAL hall in Altoona, PA. And the next thing you know, they're like, yeah, we want you to come to Germany, wrestle in Germany, All right, come and do it. I hear it's good money, though. If you get a call from the German guys, it's good money. I guess they're not exactly the easiest to work with. There's probably a language barrier, but you make good money. Speaking of success abroad, I think one of the guys that's got really good success abroad is Warbeard. He's doing Japan and he's doing the UK, and I think there's something about the way he looks that I think people in Scotland and England and where he's working, they really feel a kinship to him. Like they look at him and they're like, yeah, that's a wrestler right there. And they're like just very into what him and Ray Rowe are doing. He's always there. Like I see pictures and it's just sheep and planes. And then the next thing you know, it's pictures of cats. Cause it's like when he's in Ireland or the UK or England, there's a lot of sheep. And then when he goes to Japan, it's just, there's a lot of cats everywhere. So there's pictures of cats. You always know where he is, based on the animal he takes a picture of. But we are towards the top of the hour here. For those of you tuning in live, SmackDown does start in just a couple minutes. Before we get going, I want Dan to let us know where we can find him on social media, if you want to follow him, any other important things you might want to get out to the fans, whether it's show dates or how to get, contact you or anything else you'd like to do before we close out.
Yeah, just hit me on Facebook, Dan the Man, Snapchat, Dan the Man 6, Instagram, Dan the Man. Everything is Dan the Man. Like I said, December 15th and December 16th will be the shows I'm going to be at. ECPW in New Jersey, LAW in Spanish Harlem. So
awesome.
For LAW.
Excellent. Steve, anything from Tag Me a Date headquarters before we close out?
No, just keep checking it out. Keep signing up. It's completely free. We're having thousands sign up a day, so we're really moving along. The apps are coming, so bear with us. We're going to launch them together, Apple and Android, so just take some time. But
that's great.
But yeah, we are working on it, and I should have the final version of the Android tomorrow to test it out and then send back with anything else I need added or corrected or, So yeah, Excellent. So big thing. So make sure you check it out and sign up all social media.
That's right. So Tag Me a Date is free to use and free to sign up. TagMeADate.com is the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. You can find your tag team match on TagMeADate.com. And it's the first of its kind. It has the also first of its kind, as far as I know, the promo video. So instead of uploading a profile picture, you can upload a promo video and show off your personality. So instead of just a traditional picture, you can also have the video. We did that, you know what? And you can do it on Facebook now. We had that before Facebook by like 2 years. So
That's true.
don't let them try and fade you on that. We had that 2 years ahead of them. We were the future. So we've got messaging. The messaging works very much like a Facebook Messenger. You can send emojis and all kinds of crap like that the kids do these days. And, and you're just, I don't know. I don't really, I mean, I send some emojis, but it's not like, I don't go like, oh, I'm eating, you know, a taco and then go and find the taco. And it's like, I don't do it for each sentence. But you can send emojis and send messages. You can search by location. You can search by favorite wrestler, favorite pay-per-view, all kinds of stuff. So tagmeadate.com is free, and it's sign up before we start charging money. You know what I mean? Because eventually, you know how that goes. Like, okay, Cupid, you sign up, and then they get you eventually. Or like eHarmony, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna need to have that Tag Me a Date boat. We've been talking about it for years, but we need the Tag Me a Date boat. So we're gonna eventually have to have a premium VIP section, the champagne room of tagmeadate.com to afford our luxury boat. But sign up for tagmeadate.com because it is indeed free, and you can find your tag team match. Enjoy SmackDown a little bit later. Thank you very much, Dan the man, for coming on and joining us.
Thank you all.
You know, it's been too long since I've seen you. It's good to see you. Glad you're doing well, and I'm sure very shortly we'll be running into each other on a show.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And,
take care, everybody.
Yes, good to see you, Dan. And of course,
Dan,
check out Amanda's Daily DDT.
Yeah.
I got it.
Daily.
All right. Check out Amanda's K-Fabulous articles on Daily DDT, and you can go to e-rockwrestling.blogspot. I don't know if it's com or Canada or Czechoslovakia. It's one of those, but e-rockwrestling.blogspot, and you can check it out for the latest article, which will be uploaded soon about The Rock. We had a nice discussion about that earlier, about The Rock. Is he not black enough to be considered the first black champion? Why is there that perception among fans? So that'll be a nice little follow-up to our podcast here. And, of course, follow the Tag Me a Date YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com, type in Tag Me a Date, all one word, Tag Me a Date, no spaces. You can subscribe to the Tag Me a Date channel, like our videos, and if you want to be notified when we go live or upload a video, you hit the little bell, and it will send a push notification to your mobile device when we upload a video or go live. That's it for this week. You can, of course, check us out every Tuesday on Eastern Time, 7 p.m. to 8-ish. And you'll expect us back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on the Eastern dial. We'll be back with more The War Report. And again, just look for Tag Me a Date. Search for Tag Me a Date on YouTube. And you will find us next week. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you then.